IVM.
I want to thank Intel for supporting our show. We're all loving working from home, but let's be honest, there are complications. For example, getting help from IT folks if your PC is down can be challenging because you can't just walk up to them anymore. Well, you'll be happy to hear that I have a solution for you, the Intel vPro platform. The platform comes packed with Intel Active Management technology that lets your IT teams remotely manage your systems and fix the problems without having to go to them. So it means more time getting your work done and less time spent on getting support. Visit intel.in/morewithvpro, that's VPRO, to discover how you can do more of what you want and less of what you don't. If you're listening on the IVM Podcast Android app, click the link that's visible to you now.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach Podcast, the bite-sized podcast filled with quick and easy, actionable habits. Remember, great habits create that awesome life. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today's fun fact of the day has to do with 2020. Did you know that there was a pandemic called COVID-19 in the year 2020? Well, yes, of course, I know that you know this, but just in case 2 generations later, people are still listening to this podcast, that might be a fun fact for them, right? You never know. But isn't it strange that we're going through a moment in time that will be mentioned in the history books? Some future habit coach might talk about the things people learned during the time of social isolation and how the world was never the same, etc., etc. But during this time, over the last 6 months, we have all become acutely aware of social distancing or physical distancing, maintaining that 6 feet of distance so the chance of the virus reaching us are reduced. But a side effect of all this social distancing is that our emotions have gone for a complete toss. Our physical world has shifted to an online world, where earlier we would probably interact with 10 people in a day. Today, we are interacting with 40 plus people because we are online and it takes no time to scroll or switch between windows. We are reading more news, watching more videos, and following more people. An effect of this newfound behavior is something that the human race has never experienced before. The human brain was not designed to be interacting with so many people on a day-to-day basis, or in our lifetime for that matter. Our social evolution has outpaced our physical evolution. Societies have changed, but our brains have remained the same, and our brains were designed for empathy. Have you ever noticed how when someone is telling you about their problems, you feel like it's happening to you? It's like you imagine yourself in their shoes. You begin to think and feel the same way that they do. Now, this was an essential skill when living with your tribe or family group of 10, 15 people. Showing care and concern meant that the whole group would look out for each other. If someone was sick, the group would feel it and help him. It was an essential survival tool for the species. It was critically important, and it is critically important still. Except that we no longer have just 10, 15 people to interact with. We are now interacting with 200 or even 2,000 people over the internet. Our tribe has suddenly exploded. Someone is always falling sick, sad, angry, depressed, hurt, abused, fearful. And these are extreme emotions. And the human brain wants to immediately empathize and feel the same way with all of them. Just like the COVID-19 virus is transferring from one person to the next, so are these emotions. Just like the virus is spread, so do emotions. And emotions are beautiful things, powerful things, deadly things. In this world of extreme connection, we need to learn emotional distancing as well. Now, I know that this sounds like going against everything that I normally talk about, where empathy is important, etc., etc., where we need to show care and concern for each other and support each other. I know this doesn't sound like that. But this podcast is in response to so many people writing in each day telling me that they are scared, they have fear, and it has gripped them. But when I ask them what are they scared about, they cannot answer. On further probing, it is because a friend that they know spoke to a relative of them who was tested positive for COVID, or because someone that they know had lost their job. You see, they are completely safe, yet paralyzed by fear. What has happened is that they've picked up the fear of the people around them. So today's habit is about learning how to create that emotional space so that you can protect yourself and yet be there for that person. You must always help, but not get emotionally affected by it. I had to learn this technique when I started coaching. My clients would open up and tell me about their lives, things that they'd never shared with anyone before. Some things were so emotional that I would go home drained and dead to the world or filled with sadness. I realized that if I kept getting so emotionally affected that I would not be able to help them. And hence I needed to maintain my emotional distance. This habit helped me out and made me a better coach. The habit is to observe what the other person is going through. Pause and then tell yourself that I am safe. It is sad what is happening to her. I want to help her. But I am safe. And this is not happening to me. And this way you can help the person and yet maintain your own equilibrium. Yes, some might think of this as a cold approach. But imagine if a surgeon felt the pain every time he cut into somebody for an operation. He has to learn to emotionally distance himself as well. So your simple habit to maintain your emotional stability during times like this is by learning social distance when you need to use it. Learn to see the world and then tell yourself that you're safe. Then act and help and be of service. This is an essential habit in today's hyper-connected world, which is being driven by fear currently. And as your habit coach, I want to see you feel safe and emotionally resilient. It starts by learning to say, I am safe. I am safe. I am safe. So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
I hope you enjoyed that show. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Intel. It's been a great week on the network this week. If you haven't been paying attention, please do listen to some of the shows. We had Chetan Bhagat. This was the first returning guest on Cyrus Says. Do check that out. Great episode. We had Palak Zatakia on Advertising is Dead. Really interesting conversation was had with Varun. We had another crossover on the Habit Coach. Zarina Poonawala showed up over there to have a discussion with Ashdin about anxiety and pressure. Begin the Journey with Ashish Vidyarthi continues to kill it. Please definitely do check it out. An old friend, Vijay Koshi, was on Storytellers and Storysellers. Do check that out as well. And I'd like to mention one thing. If you're a Tamil speaker, you should definitely check out our podcast, Kadai Podcast Punyan Selvan. Kavita Jiva has done a fantastic job to finish up her first story. It is the last episode which just came out last Monday. Do check it out if you speak Tamil. It is an incredible achievement. Please do check that out. And with that, hope to see you again next week.
Beta, did you know 79% of all scientists in NASA are Indian only?
देखो, इंडिया में टैक्स सिर्फ मिडिल क्लास भरती है. Everyone is just enjoying free यार.
आजकल के youngsters are only interested in partying and enjoying. उनको देश की पड़ी ही नहीं है.
बेटा तुम बस शादी कर लो, उसके बाद तो you can enjoy life like anything.
I will tell you what this country needs. This country needs 15 years of dictatorship. That is the only way to become a superpower. See the Chinese, how much they've progressed.
सुनो, तुमने ये WhatsApp forward देखा?
So what's common between all of these statements?
They're all absolutely rubbish.
Fake WhatsApp forwards that spread like wildfire.
And statements that defy any logic.
They are here to debunk them all.
Where your family WhatsApp groups, worst nightmare. Where what happens when you read a book.
Basically, we're just a bunch of guys who want to cut through the bullshit of everyone saying this, how it won't be true.
So that the next time someone confidently squeezes out some WhatsApp or Twitter BS, you can look them dead in the eye and go, Uncle, please sit.
So join me, Joel,
and me, Tushar,
every Mondays for a fresh new episode of Uncle, Please Sit.